When you've been lying about something for so long, it becomes second nature. You think you're gonna get the truth in a town like this? When you've been lying about something for so long, it becomes second nature.
Do you see the beauty of it? The inevitability. You rise, only to fall. You, Avengers, you are my meteor, my swift and terrible sword, and the earth will crack with the weight of your failure. Purge me from your computers, turn my own flesh against me. It means nothing. When the dust settles, the only thing living in this world will be metal.
You remember me?
How you doing tonight?
Doing well, officer.
Can I see your driver's license, registration, and insurance, please?
Of course. My license is right here, my wallet. It's all right, son. You remember the night in July?
Hands up!
Hey, 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 hey! Wait! Put the phone down! Put that phone!
I know,
It's a phone! It's a cell phone! It's just a cell phone! You knew he was unarmed.
Get to the car and put your hands in the air! Officer, please, he's just a kid!
You pointed your gun at him. Okay, get out of the car, son. Easy. He pulled the trigger.
Put the phone away! Put the phone away!
The grand jury determined that no probable cause exists to file any charges against Officer Randall.
This is my son. This is my little boy. You took that from me. The world took that from me. Today we make that right. Hear me when I say this, because I'm only going to say it once. Don't stop filming.
You should just give up now.
Why are we the only people in this country that are expected to do things without violence?
I didn't mean to kill your son!
What you did.
I did what I was trying to do!
I just want justice. That's all I want. This is your jury. The deciders of your fate. Today, you will be tried for the murder of my son. You scared? Are you afraid?
So begins the end.
Now, all you black folks, I suggest you get away from all these white folks. Not you, Stephen. You're right where you belong.
So next up on our transgender check is the girl called Priscilla Rainey. Priscilla Rainey was also on the show called She's Got Game, which you can see right here on the screen rolling through, which she starred with the game. As you can see, the name is Priscilla. And Priscilla is actually a man and not a woman in any way, shape, or form. And this is what we're trying to show you, that all these hip-hop artists are homosexuals, because later on, after I think a couple of maybe episodes in which Priscilla Rainey starred, he was, because it's actually he, so if we call it a she, just remember that it's a he, alright? And he was booted off the show, and then later on we heard that he was trying to sue the game for about $7 million or thereabout, because he assumed at this point that the game sexually molested him. So the question is, why would they promote that kind of information? It's not necessary, because at the end of the day, all right, the information, because you have to remember this about media publications. Negative information always garners more views. People love and are attracted to negative information. if information is negative, somebody will likely read it than if it's good. That is the mindset behind promoting a lot of negative information. You hear a lot of negative information. For example, they say R. Kelly, has a cult of women, that he traps women in his homes and they can't get out, and that he loves pedophilia. Why do you think you're promoting all this kind of information? Or they say that Bill Cosby raped a lot of women over the years and now it's being publicly known. Why do you think they love promoting negative information? Because the negative information carries more views. It's constructed for a very particular reason. So when they say that Priscilla Rainey was assaulted by The Game and made it public headlines, it's for you to get the information, because there's something else they are passing in that information which you don't get, and which you're going to understand on The Shape of a World, because we have some great information about Priscilla Rainey, which is truth, besides what they tell you, and all that will be revealed on The Shape of a World. But for now, we want to show you that The Game is 100% homosexual because Priscilla Rainey is a man. So as you can see right here, Priscilla Rainey has a straight back of a man. There is no arch in this back. It's straight into the pelvis, because Priscilla Rainey on She's Got Game, who sued The Game for improperly touching him, is actually a man. And here's another picture of Priscilla Rainey. You can see this is a straight back all the way into the pelvis. No arch in that back, right? Because Priscilla Rainey is 100% male. And this was public knowledge a long time ago, that Priscilla Rainey was found in the police records to have said that he was a male. It was publicly known. If you get on the internet, if they don't shut it down, then you will probably find that information there, right there. So all the information, because like we've explained, everything that we are telling you right now is the basis for the reason why the internet is going to be shut down and every microchip is going to be fried. Because you have to understand this. Every change of the mindset of people, or every new invention or social manner of way of thinking, takes at the most 20 to 30 years to travel all around the world. So the truth that we are spreading right now, as we're telling you and making you to understand that albinos, anybody with straight hair, the scum of the earth, all originate from India, and that they are not native to anywhere else, and that they are the cursed of the earth, and the Creator told everybody to stay away from them. This message is going to engulf the whole world in less than 20 years. So that means that the plans to shut down the internet are already in motion right now. Because when the truth is revealed of who is who, their origins, the only thing that the elite have to do is shut down the internet. So probably you've watched such movies as The Core, or any of these movies that talk about world disaster. And you've also maybe heard about, if you pay attention to the news media on your feed or news, you'll always hear that they talk about some sort of magnetic flux. That means that the Earth's magnetic poles are going to change. And when that last changed, like maybe 700 or let's say 7,000 years ago, that a lot of chaos happened in the Earth. The reason why they are setting your mind up with all this information, like asteroids flying into the Earth, the magnetic flux of the Earth, the magnetic poles are going to twist and shift and turn, is because they want the wicked who will live in the time when the internet and every microchip is fried to hide this information which is going to travel around the world. The wicked public at that time who did not know this truth, right, will accept it to be that it's something that happened because they'll tell you that the magnetic poles of the Earth shifted, or there was an asteroid that flew into the Earth and this happened to shut down everything. This is the plan. So right now you're hearing and seeing the foundation of what's going to happen in the future. But is this going to be the truth? No. For those who practice and do the commandments of the Creator, they will know when this happens that it was false. And before that time, We would have shown you how to have your own communication system, that you won't need any of them. You would have grown your food, known how to take care of yourself, and known how to dig for gas, which we are going to explain, or let's say crude oil, because crude oil is nothing but Mayan juice, and a lot of people won't know what I'm talking about, but in the Shape of the World, you'll get all that information for those who are interested in the truth. And here's Priscilla Rainey again. As you can see right here, this is the crotch, and the widest portion on this hip is above the crotch. The Q angle starts here, high above the crotch, and the straight back of Priscilla Rainey, because Priscilla Rainey is 100% male and not a female, which means that, as we have shown you, the game is a homosexual, because everybody who has to be something in this world, according to the success standards of this world, has to be a homosexual, because it is a rite of passage to worshiping the Trinity and having all the so-called successes and money, which Satan uses to control his own people, his children. And here's Priscilla Rainey again, even with the fake. So you see how wicked the medical system is, because morality should tell a doctor why, in the first place, any surgery, any cosmetic surgery is evil. All doctors know that. If the surgery is not to repair an injury, it is evil. But here you have doctors giving cosmetic surgeries to males to make them look like females. And here, with all this cosmetic surgery that Priscilla Rainey has put on, the hips is still above the crotch, because you can't change the skeletal structure. The crotch is right here, and the widest portion in the hips is above it, because Priscilla Rainey on She's Got Game, who was booted off the game and sued the game for sexual molestation, is 100% male and not a female. As you can see, the straight back right here into the pelvis, the straight torso of a man, because Priscilla Rainey is male. And here is one more picture of Priscilla Rainey. So you see how this deception works, because if a man on glance just looks at this and sees the lacy bra and underwear and him standing like this, you're gonna assume that this is a man, right? Because the idea is to make sure, because people don't understand this. When you look at a female, you start having the normal feelings that a man should have for a woman. When you look at a man and you think that the person is a female, so when you look at a man like this, for someone who does not follow after the commandments of the Creator, who does not understand the commandments and do the commandments of the Creator, he starts having homosexual tendencies, even though he thinks in his mind that he's looking at a female. Because this is how psychology works. Because they know that once this happens, the hidden child of Satan, who's a homosexual, will come out in the open. Because we are at the precipice of time. So this deception is designed to weed out all the children of Satan. And if you get caught up in it, it means that you are also a child of Satan. So right here, looking at Priscilla Rainey, you can see that this is a straight back all the way into the pelvis. There is no arch. There's clear separation between the shoulder muscles and the tricep muscles, because Priscilla Rainey is 100% male and not a female. The so-called person who sued the game for sexual misconduct or improperly touching him is 100% male, and the game is a homosexual. Let's continue in Legends of Roll Call.
A Navajo woman has become a viral sensation, showcasing her skateboarding skills on the reservation. She's hoping with her growing platform that a new skate park can be built and will inspire others to pursue their passions. News 13's Brady Wakayama shows us.
I hear you go again, you say you want your freedom.
This is one of Naomi Glass's viral TikTok videos from Rock Point, Arizona, a chapter of the Navajo Nation. The 24-year-old has gained tens of thousands of followers on social media. who can't get enough of her skating.
I would see these sandstones and I was like, I wonder if I could skate that. So then one day I was just like, you know what? Let me just try it. Like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
She learned how to skate when she was just 5 years old from her older brother and hasn't gotten off the board since.
I'm not a professional at all by any means. I just like to ride around, but it's very freeing for me.
She says skateboarding is very popular within the Navajo Nation, despite the lack of pavement and just 5 skate parks throughout. Because of this, she's teaming up with a Navajo-inspired clothing company that's planning on building a new skate park in Two Gray Hills, which is just 2 hours away from her community.
I love skateboarding so much, and I would just love to bring that joy and love of it to other communities.
She hopes with her newly discovered platform, she can properly represent and share the indigenous culture with the world and show young Navajo children that they can do anything while living on the reservation.
You can, life is what you make it, and go out there, be strong, be bold, and be confident, and be true to who you are.
Brady Wakayama, KRQE, News 13.
The skate park project is expected to start construction this fall.
I don't have any trouble admitting that I'm a racist. I think it's absurd to try to fight with that. I grew up in this society. I was conditioned by it. I think internally in my psyche, I have grounded and rooted those attitudes, and I see it in me all the time.
I have a white skin, and that with that white skin comes along a whole mess of privileges that I have, and I don't ask for them, they just are there.
It means that I have Scotch-Irish ancestry with a little bit of German. I'm European, and I came over some 250 years ago.
My ancestors are from England and Germany.
My ancestors are German and Russian and Scottish.
In my father's side, it was Irish. And my mother's side, it was probably English, but I don't know a lot about her side.
To be white means to be a member of a dominant racial group in a society that I consider white supremacist. And to be white in a white supremacist society, not just a racist society, because that's almost too generic. To be white in a white supremacist society is to be able to have the luxury of oblivion, to be oblivious to the injustices, to be oblivious to racial privilege, to be oblivious, frankly, to one's own identity. So it is, in a sense, to be invisible to oneself.
Well, I think to be white in this culture means to deny the reality of racism. And it means to deny the privilege that we have as whites. Most people who are whites don't want to accept that they are privileged because they are.
So we're still on Legends of Roll Call, and if you've watched up to this point, you would understand that the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, that their origins all come from India. And we want to show you that they are all Indians. Everybody who's an albino today, anybody with straight hair, and they were immigrated by the Vatican into the United States and North America and South America in the 1850s. They are not native to any of the countries that they claim today, in which all the scum of the earth, albinos, especially the women, will claim ancestry to be. My father is German and Swedish, and my mom is she's from Britain, so I'm mixed with kind of everything. You are not native to any European country as an albino. Let me make you understand something, because we've said this before in older videos that we have made on our channel. We have told you that the Germans were black. They were not albinos. They were black with woolly hair. And we have told you before, for those who are initiated into the concealed mystery, who know the history of our world, that Europe is in Africa. Europe is a part of Africa. This is the truth which people do not let you know. Because when you see what they show you on the map, and they show you the Mediterranean Sea, it's a very small lake. So all that part of Europe is part of Northern Africa. The Europeans were Africans. This is the honest truth. Historically. So the Germans were black. The Greeks were black. So all the whitewashing of history which you see, for example, if you go into, let's say, Rome today or Italy, you see a lot of sculptures all painted white. Why is it painted white? Because real sculptures weren't always painted white. This is a new kind of a whitewashing of history, because anything white is evil. So the albinos, when they came into Europe, they started whitewashing all the images of all the black people that you see. Now, the Romans, before the albinos, anybody with straight hair, scum of the earth, came out from India via the Ottoman Empire, which we're going to get into later a little bit. Before they came in, the Romans had started whitewashing Egypt. So if you look at a lot of Egyptian sculptures right now, and you go into maybe Egypt and look at all the so-called hieroglyphs and drawings of Egypt, you will notice that it seems that all the Egyptians were wearing some kind of white tunic or white loincloth. All those images were whitewashed. I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying. They were all whitewashed by the Romans, because the Romans understood the occult. All right? They understood that for you to have power as a black man, you need to associate yourself with the color white. So when the Romans took over Egypt, they whitewashed all the images and made the images to look like they were wearing, like everybody was wearing, white loincloths. They did not succeed in whitewashing everything, but by the time that the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, now came into Northern Africa via the Ottoman Empire, they whitewashed all the Egyptian images. They changed the noses, they changed the mouths, and today they can insinuate and boldly tell you that the Egyptians were brown people, or a color that could be akin to what you find in people in India, in the southeastern portion of it. So all the Egyptian hieroglyphs that you go, where people go take pictures of, they've all been changed, almost all of them. They haven't been successful with everything, but they've changed uniquely for you to believe that the Egyptian wore white loincloths, that all of them were wearing white. All those images were changed. The Egyptians never wore white. They had so many different colors of clothes. If you go and study Egyptian history and you have a keen eye that's not covered up by the scum of the earth albino supremacy in your mind, and you study the images well, you will find out that there is something wrong. How can everybody be wearing white? Nobody ever asked that question. Because even in today's world that we live in, not everybody is wearing white clothes. So how could the Egyptians, all of a sudden, the hieroglyphs, all of them be wearing white clothes, even down to the normal workers who were not kings? Because it was whitewash to make you believe in whiteness, that white is a color, when it's the absence of all color, and it means nothing but evil. So the Greeks were black. Black with woolly hair, just like you have Africans in West Africa. Everybody in history that you read about were black. So all the Roman statues that you see are not really the real Roman statues. They've all been changed by the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, trying to write themselves into history in the 1800s. It's not that long ago. 1800s. This is the truth. So a lot of people right now think that the year is 2021, but we are not going to tell you what the actual year date is, because we do not give our pearls to swine, the scum of the earth, wicked people who are not interested in truth. The year is not 2021. the scum of the earth, white supremacists, changed the way that we accounted time, because this was written by the high priest Daniel in the book of Daniel, that they would change times and the accounting of time. So a lot of people think that the year is 2021. No, the year is not 2021. We've also been made to live in a 7-day week. This is not true. So that's why, for example, if you notice, there are days that you wake up and it feels like it's a Saturday. Why do you think you have that feeling? Because these idiots, the scum of the earth, these evil, wicked people of Satan, changed the accounting of time. Time was never accounted as 7 days in a week. Now someone's going to ask, how many days in a week was there? You're an idiot. You don't want to know, and we're not interested in telling you. So albino supremacists changed everything. They changed it to the fact that the year even started in January. The year never started in January. January 1st is not the first of the year. They even changed the fact that the year now has 12 months. The year has never had 12 months until the scum of the earth, albino supremacists, changed the accounting of time in the 1800s. Everything was changed to write themselves into history, to make you believe that everybody in history is an albino. Anybody with straight hair, the scum of the earth who come from India. Origins in India, and we're getting to show you their real origins, which came before India. And what's been going on? The crust of the earth, the dirtiest, smelliest, stinkiest people have made black people to believe that they are the epitome of goodness, when all they carry is evil. And as we have said, even the ones that are married to black people do not like them. We are going to show you historically. We're going to show you from the scriptures, and already, as we have shown you, that albinos, anybody with straight hair, are the ones who get all the jobs. They give them all the credit. They give them everything. They walk into a bank, they give them credit. But if you're a black person, all of a sudden your credit gets denied. Why do you think that is? They are the ones employed everywhere, but yet they claim that they are good. But if you walk into any organization, it's albino field. Albino field, 90%. But meanwhile, you have black people who built the countries of the United States and every civilization, even in Asia, were all built by black people, by Africans. And today they can't get jobs. And the albino who are filled with every organization in United States of America. If you walk into any store, you walk into McDonald's, you walk into Walmart, you walk into Target, you walk into any store, it's filled with albinos. None of them have ever gone to their employer and said, why do we have in this company that is filled with albinos? Let us make a law that 50% black people should be hired with 50% albinos, since we say that we are good and we are not racist. They've never done that, and they'll never do it. But things are going to change, and the change starts right here, because a high priest has given information, and I'm not a high priest, I'm just passing information. So all those scum of the earth albinos, the females, all right, and every albino male who are so proud that they done anything, they have not done anything but introduce satanism and wickedness, and they brought it out from India. And the stupid black people who sought the power of Satan and sought the knowledge of Satan went to India, because every religion that you worship right now, every religion in this world, all right, that is not based on African spirituality, comes from India. Christianity is a Hindu religion. It comes from India. It comes from Hinduism. And let's read that before we continue on. So we're reading from a website. We're not going to leave a link of this website, because every time we leave a link, stuff goes down, all right? So it's out there And if you're immersed into the concealed mysteries, you will get this website and know where exactly it is. So we're reading now, and it says this is concerning Roman Christianity, because the Romans brought Christianity, right? Which is an evil demonic religion from Hinduism. Because as we have said, every religion, because I want you to understand this and hear this very clearly. Long before, right from the inception of time, after the flood, because we have told you that the Indians, all right, the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, who are all from India, that India is the oldest civilization besides Africa. But if you go to India, nothing is happening right there. But every civilization, every black civilization always went to India. What do you think they went for? Because they knew that albinos, anybody with straight hair, are the children of Satan, and we're going to prove that to you. So keep on listening, okay? And that if you want to get power and traction in this world and rule your people and have all the knowledge, you have to go to the children of Satan, and they will show you how to speak with Satan in tongues. Speaking of tongues is demonic language. So this is the knowledge that black people know. That is why black people who are in the occult wear white. That is why the general black public, if they want to get some traction in life and be above their people, they go marry a scum of the earth albino woman, the ugliest woman in the world, and procreate with. And then their own people will see, oh, he's married to a white girl. And then they will honor him because they are children of Satan. The children of the prince have to be worshipped if you want to get some power from the prince of this world, which is Satan. Do you understand what we're saying now? So we're reading now to show you that Christianity in itself, because we keep on saying this and people don't get it, is an Eastern religion. And when they say Eastern religion, it's talking about the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair who come from India, whose origins are from India. So as we're reading, he says, another strategy, a little more radical, was to import new religions from abroad. During the first 2 centuries of the empire, Rome was truly a supermarket of Oriental religions. Did you see that? When they say Oriental here, they're not talking about as in the Oriental peoples, because the word Orient in itself is a French word which means East. But it's talking about the fact because India is in the East. And the people who had all the strange worships of Satan, which the Creator told every black person, do not go near these people, stay away from them, let them be confined in India where they are. Every black person broke that command. Every black civilization had to go to India to get the power of Satan. So as we're reading here, it says, in some cases, new deities were incorporated into the existing pantheon, Cybele, Isis, Mithras, and more. In other cases, entire new cults were transplanted into the empire: Manichaeans, Zoroastrians, Mithrites, Jews, Christians, and more. This is all Hinduism. And let's read here so you see it. It said, eventually, one of these Eastern religions, Christianity, managed to get the upper hand over the others and emerged with the emperor's cult. Constantine the Great, 270 to 337 AD, saw himself as divinely appointed emperor, but also a supporter of Christianity. So, as you can see here, Christianity is from the East. It's from the scum of the earth, Indian. So, when you read the Bible, when you see people speaking in tongues, I want you to go to Hinduism. I want you to go to India, and you will see that the Hindu religions, because we have explained that word Hindu just means India. If you take out the H from the spelling of Hindu, Hindu, take out the H, it is Hindu from the word Indus, which means India. And we're going to show you the true meaning of India not too long as we go along in Legends of Roll Call. So as you can see right here, Oriental religion. Christianity means Eastern religion. When they say East, I want you to understand something. East in its particular meaning is referring to India. That is the truth. So Christianity is Hinduism. So as we've explained, if you go to India, into any of the Hindu religions, which include Buddhism or Buddhism, if that's what you want to say it is, you will notice that the shamans, the Brahmins, or whatsoever can lay hands on people and they recover from their sicknesses. They can make people fall under the anointing and speak in tongues.
Padam Vishnu Brahmya Bhuj Parikaro Graganam Orjo Yastum Nipata Jatata Ditata Jagat Tripsayam Tam Nakasinanva Meva Vivuta Yayad Vyapi Dara Ganapana Panno Gamuruji Pravaham Barangya Pristala Putrishta Sirasati Jagat Vipakaram Jaladivalayam Tina Kutane Twaninam Oninam Tritumahimadivyam Tavavu Dorishadaya Nadanamanaste Bhagavan Mahadaya
So every pastor who is saying that he gives people the Holy Spirit, such as Chris Oyakhilome, the scum of the earth black man there, they all studied their craft in India. This is the honest truth. So when they make people fall under the anointing and speak in tongues and do all this miracle, it's all Hindu religion from the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, the children of Satan, who are all from India. They all went there and studied their craft and came back and made you believe that they are speaking about the Creator. So when you study in your Bible and you see they say that the so-called Creator, and they say that the Creator, which they have named Jesus, which is not his name because the word Jesus means Satan, laid hands on people and people became well, or that a woman with an issue of blood touched her and the woman became well, or that he cast out demons, or that the so-called apostles, when they lay hands on people, they received the holy demon of the goddess of the Trinity, which is worshipped in India, all right, in Hinduism, in all the religions of Africa, for those who are into pagan religions. It was never written by the high priest. All those were written in by the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, into scriptures. It never happened. So because people don't understand, because as we've explained, we don't expect you to understand until you get and associate yourself with a high priest. People don't understand why the book of Genesis was written. Everything the Creator did, he spoke into existence. Did you hear that? Everything the Creator did was by speaking. An order was set in scriptures in Genesis that if the Creator was to do anything, he only had to speak. And therefore the high priest would do as the Creator told him. They would speak. Now, I want to give you a particular example so you can understand the logic of scriptures. The remnants were in the wilderness. They had refused to go into the Middle East because of fear. All right? They thought that they were not strong enough. They could not defeat the people that they saw in the Middle East to take their lands, which was originally owned by them by their great-grandfather in Abraham before the remnants left the Middle East and went into Egypt. So they have been in this wilderness for a long time, refusing to go into the Middle East because of fear. But as they were in the wilderness right here, they had no water to drink. And so they started cursing and calling out the high priest Moses. So Moses spoke with the Creator, and the Creator said, gather the people, all right? Go before this rock. Speak to this rock. When you speak to it, water will come forth. And Moses went there and called the people, abusing them as I am abusing you right now, because the people who listen refuse common sense, logic, and reasoning. And he was angry. And Moses took of the stick, of a stick that he laid around, because even though the scriptures tell you that Moses walked around with a stick, this is false. If you read in the same book of Deuteronomy, it tells you that when Moses died, he was strong. His natural strength was not abated. His eyes were not dim. That means he did not walk like an old man, because he was not old. He was just 120 years. Because if you eat right, you will be strong till the day you die. You will not be walking like an old man with a stick. So Moses never walked around with a stick because he was strong. So Moses picked up a stick when he was talking with the remnant, right? And struck a rock, and water came out. And the Creator was angry with Moses. And because of that particular act, the Creator told Moses, a high priest, that he was not going to lead the remnant into the Middle East. This is what happened. Now, the question we now have to ask at this point in time is, why would the Creator have been so angry with Moses for striking the rock instead of speaking to it? Because every miracle that the Creator did was not done by touching. He did not touch anybody. He only spoke, and the words came to pass. So if you find any pastor laying hands on you, holding you, all right, or doing any miracle by touching, these are witches and wizards who learned their craft in the practice of Hinduism from the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair whose origins are from India. Because Satanism has to do with touching. That is why Satanism preaches every day to get in your feelings. Because when you become feely, you have to touch. This is how it works. So that's why the human emotions has been weaponized to be used against them. They make music or create music that makes you feel a certain type of way, because once you start having feelings, you are going to touch. So all the miracles that the Creator ever did was done by speaking. So that's why the Creator was mad with the high priest, the great high priest Moses, for taking a stick and touching a rock that water should come out from, instead of speaking as he was told. Go and read your story. So Christianity is Hinduism. All the miracles that you read there never happened. The Creator did not cast out any demons. This is the practice of Hinduism still till today. If you go into India and see the real people practicing it, you will see them doing all the same miracles that you see in Christianity, because Christianity is Hinduism. And for pastors who are deep into Christianity and know the true origins, know that, like Chris Oyakhilome, that the so-called Holy Spirit is the vagina of a goddess, which is used to carry demons into the minds of people. So the reason why you're looking at this screen is because we're trying to show you how all the so-called ethnicities who call themselves albinos today are all from India. And we explained earlier that the Asian people, the people with the slant eye look, are technically considered to be part of India also, because the Indians, the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, overtook the Oriental states during the time of the Ottoman Empire. And we explained earlier that if you are an Oriental, that means you have the slant eye look of Asians. That means you come from places such as Japan, China, North and South Korea, and all the Asia states that are around there. That 3 generations from you is not so long ago. Your parents were black with woolly hair. Just 3 generations ago. It's not that long. But when the scum of the earth albinos, whom the Orientals, the people with the slant eye, built the Great Wall of China around to protect themselves from their onslaught after the remnants were removed from the Middle East by Rome, lost that fight. And by the time of the Ottoman Empire, the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, now overtook the Oriental states and now introduced Hinduism, which is practiced as Buddhism or Buddhism, or being a Buddhist, which is now the religion of the Orientals, which was not their religion before the times of the Ottoman Empire. That is why, for example, if you notice in a lot of the Buddhist monks, okay, that is worshipped in China or Japan, you will notice that they have cornrows in their hair. That means the black style of woolly hair, because it's not so long ago that the Orientals turned from black with woolly hair like West Africans to becoming albino, because the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, overtook them and enforced the laws of inbreeding, which was a culture and practice of the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair from India, the stinkiest, dirtiest smelling people of all time in history. Even as you will go to India today and still see, you can't even walk in the streets. It's stinking, it's filthy. Overtook the Orientals. So the Orientals today are albinos, anybody with straight hair. They are part of India as well. So the picture that you're looking at the screen is a picture in a club in India. As you can see, this is the so-called white blonde girl, which a lot of stupid black males think that if they don't get with one, they're gonna die, right? And worshipped. Stinky smelling people, dirty children of Satan. As you can see right here, this is an Indian. All right, they have the look of the white man. As we have explained, the white men, or so-called white men, are from especially a part of India in Iran and Iraq, which was a part of northern India before the 1800s, before the name got changed to Iran and Iraq. So those ones in northern India had inbred themselves so crazy that they came out this way. Because once your hair starts getting blonde, that means you're at the end of your lifespan. That means that you're going to have fertility issues, you can't give birth. It means you're done. That's just the best way I can explain it. So as you're looking at this albino right here, she is done. All right? If she marries another albino and tries to have children, those children are done. It's a wrap, except that person is black or has some sort of carbon. So here's another person right here. This is the common face that you will see of the Orientals. But because they were taken over by the scum of the earth albinos, whose origins are from India, they are now called albino too. They are now albinos. Anybody with straight hair from India. Their origins are now from India. And this is another common face that you find in Mexico. We have already shown you those pictures before. They are all from India. Every one of them. And here's another common face that you find right here. And this is an Indian club. The name of the Indian club is called Club Boudoir Kolkata. You can look it up. If you can see where we are hovering our mouse right over the screen, you can read it right there and go look it up so you see. So this is a scene from that club. And if somebody were not to tell you that this was an Indian club, just by looking, you would think these people are in Mexico. Because the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair who say they are from Mexico, are not from Mexico. They are all from India. And we're going to show you with proof. We already showed you proof earlier in an article on the internet, but now we want to show you proof from a book. Was not written by us. You can get on Amazon and get this book, even though this book is written with lies, because whenever that word native Indian is used in North America, it is trying to make you believe that black Americans call themselves native Indians, rather than the idea by using that word native Indian is because Indians were immigrated into North and South America in the 1850s, that they were native to India. This is how history has been changed by the play of words. But let's get into the book now. So this is a book which documents the fact that Asians, both Oriental, that means people with the slant eye look who come from Japan, China, North Korea, and all of those Asian states which have that look, and the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair who came into North and South America and today own all the jobs and then create the stories so that stupid black people believe that calling someone a nigger means that's the meaning of racism, or that the police shooting black people in the streets is racism, instead of the fact that racism actually means depriving somebody of their land and finances because of their ethnicity, which albinos practice because they are the ones given all the jobs and all the benefits as albinos, anybody with straight hair, in a country and nation that Africans and black Americans built, so that stupid black people, both black Americans and Africans, will not see the true meaning of racism, which means that you're deprived of your rights, you're deprived financially of money, and your land stolen from you, all right, because of your ethnicity, because of you being black. This is the reason why all this was created, because when you go into all the companies in the United States of America, all you see is a sea of the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair whose origin is from India, in all the employment places. And they have never for one day told their employer, we should hire 50%, equal number of black people, for the people who built this country for them to come here and become bosses. They've never done that. But they'll teach you about Black Lives Matter, and they'll give you some small benefits here and there, all right? And stupid black people have been sleeping, helping, and making their enemies to be who they are, instead of calling them out for who they truly are. They rather see that if someone calls you a nigger, that means that you're racist, instead of the true meaning of racism, that you're deprived of your financial rights for a country that you built. So the picture that you're looking at on the screen right now is trying to show you it's not written by us. So it doesn't just look like they say, oh, Tricks of the Estrade, he's just a hater. He's just blaming albinos, anybody with straight hair, for everything. Yes, we are. And we're doing so correctly and logically because this is the truth. So we did not write this book. You can get on Amazon and see if it's still available. Let's see if we can pull up a picture just to show you that it's still available on Amazon. So here's a picture of the book on Amazon. It's called Asian Slaves. Can you see those words? Asian slaves in colonial Mexico, from Chinos to Indians. We're going to make it a little bit more clear on the screen, but for now we just wanted to show you that it's available on Amazon. You can go get it, and We don't know if it's going to last around for long. And we're going to explain why all this history is been written and kept down. Because the stupid scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, don't know what's coming. All right, let's continue on. So as we have explained that when the word Indian is used, it actually means the person is from India. But the connotation, because this is which language in which the truth is told to you, all right? Just like, for example, people have always heard these words, but they've never paid attention to it. Why are albinos, anybody with straight hair, the scum of the earth, called Caucasians? Why are they called Caucasians? Because they are from Asia. So the history is in the words. Why? Because black people at that time are the ones who invented these words to identify who is who and where they are from. Does that make sense? So that's why these words are still here, because the people who wrote the history originally were black before the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, changed everything. But the words still apply. So that's why the word Caucasian is used for the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, the people of Satan whose origin is from India. To identify that that is where they come from. Caucasian, for the so-called white man who's an Indian from the country of India. The stinkiest, dirtiest, smelliest place in the whole entire world. So I want you to pay attention now. So when the word Indian is used, it connotates that the person is from the country of India in Asia, in the continent of Asia. But because people do not know this history, they assume that the word native Indian means that the person is referring to someone who's natively born in North or South America, which blacks and Africans are. And we've made that distinguishing feature between blacks and Africans, so you know today. So you can go to the previous video and get that information. So the word Indian means you're from India. So even though this book says from Chinos to Indians, it is writing it in a deceptive manner. Because remember, the Vatican is the white supremacists are the one writing all these stories. The history, the black history, was kept by black people. But when white supremacists came into power in the 1500s, they changed that history. But the original words are still there, because this is what the black people of ancient times knew. It's only that it's been made to look like that this is the word which identified other people which are not. So the history is mixed up. So when this book says from Chinos to Indians, it's actually a false writing and narration by the Vatican. Why? Because they do not want to tell you the whole truth, because the system still needs to run as it is until it becomes impossible to keep it going. All right? And then what has to be done will be done, which we will show you later what's going to happen. All right? So, but pay particular attention. The words say Asian slaves in colonial Mexico, because everybody who is an albino, anybody with straight hair, as we have told you, they all were transported into Mexico first before they got immigrated into North America through the southern states all the way into everywhere in the United States and into the Caribbean and into South America. So this is what this book is trying to show you. It's written by someone called Tatiana Sayas. All right, and we're going to read the introduction of the book because we don't want to read everything. You know, we don't have the time. You can go on Amazon. If there's still a copy available, I would advise that you get it. Don't waste time at all. Go grab the book. Keep it for your own historical purposes so you can see the truth that we are sharing. So it doesn't just look like Tricks of the Air Straits made things up. This history is all out there. But why is it still out there is the question. Why would they write this kind of incriminating evidence, all right, and put it in a book and sell it on Amazon? You're going to find out later. Because the dumb scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, are all going to be expelled to India. This is going to happen. So you're hearing it first here. They are all going to get expelled in India. Some of them say, huh? Really? Yes. So this is why this history is coming out now. So you know your origin. So that when that child who will be born in that time, when it happens, and they start questioning, but why are they saying we should go back to India? You will now be presented with these stories. Let's continue with Legends of Roll Call. So we're reading the introduction part of the book called Asian Slaves in Colonial Mexico from Chinos to Indians. And we try to make you understand that when you see the word India, it means that the person is from India. Because black people wrote this history originally, so they kept the right meaning of the words, which has now lost its meaning. So when you hear the word native India, it means that the person is native to India. It does not mean the person is native to North and South America. Because the word native Indian is used to make us believe that these people, which means black people or Africans, all right? This is the understanding people get when they hear the word native Indian, because you hear a lot of blacks, all right? You'll hear a lot of blacks who know a lot about their history and know that they have always been in North America, call themselves native Indian. But this is a wrong connotation, because people do not see the trickery that is involved and the lies that is involved. They have assigned that name native Indian to black people. This is not true, because the word native Indian meant that the person is native to the country of India. The scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, all come from India. So when you use that word native Indian, that is what it means. It does not mean that you're native to North and South America. Now, there are some scum of the earth albinos who sit on the reservations and call themselves Native Americans, or they're in countries like Brazil and say that they belong to the Amazonian rainforest and that they are Native American. This is all false. The word Native American, because people do not understand this, the very word America means land of the blacks. So the word Native American was used only for black people, for black Americans today who are native to North America. So the word America in itself means land of the blacks. And if anybody who is not black associates themselves with that name, they are lying, because people do not know the history. Now, let's explain the history so you understand now. According to history as we are told that the name America was derived from the Spanish or Portuguese explorer called Amerigo Vespucci. But history does not make you understand that this is not true. Because Amerigo Vespucci did not discover America. This is just what we are told in history to make us believe that the name America, right, was derived from Amerigo Vespucci. America in its original meaning means land of the blacks. Now people will not know that because they do not know how words have been switched by the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, to hide history. So the word America, all right, is taken from the word Amori. Amori. The word Amori is taken from the word Moor. And the word Moor, in which you have such countries as Mauritania, Morocco, in Africa, means black. So therefore, the word America means land of the blacks because it's taken from the word Maori. So people don't understand because the spelling America has been changed. So for example, America right there is spelled A-M-E-R-I-C-A. The Maori right there has been spelled M-E instead of Amori, okay? So Moor is a Greek, Latin, or Germanic word which means black. So the word America in itself means land of the blacks. So when the blacks of ancient times identified themselves as being native to this land of America, they call themselves Native American. This is what the European blacks identified them as, because America means land of the blacks. So when you see an idiot scum of the earth albino, anybody with straight hair, call themselves Native American, because people do not know the history. You should know that automatically they are telling you a lie, because the word Native American means native black American, native black people in America. So, but they are not black. There are albinos, anybody with straight hair. The word also Native Indian means this person is native to India, not native to India living in America. So you need to understand that today. So let's read up before we can continue and just show you that America, the meaning of the word America means land of the blacks. So we're reading from an article here. We're not going to leave a link because we are not interested in giving the truth to people who are wicked and evil, in black people who follow after white supremacy, who have made it what it is. So we're not going to leave any sort of information for them that's going to help them live any longer. They should continue on wallowing in the wickedness in this earth. But regardless, it's still going to be destroyed very soon. And as we have said, we know the actual year that this world goes in smoke and burns up. And if you do not have a new body given to you by the Creator at His coming, you are going to get burnt up, and then you are going to get put in the lake of fire for your soul, all right, and your mind to stay in torture for all the wickedness that you have helped to create upon humanity by attaching yourself to white supremacy. Now let's read here because we don't want to waste too much time here. We have so much to cover. It says here, the name America means land of the blacks. So when anybody tells you that they are Native American, they have to be black. Black with woolly hair. Anything else, they are all from India, because that is the word, that's the meaning of the word Native Indian. So as we read right here, we won't read into the whole story, we'll just read the top of it. It says, one of the most intriguing tales is how America, which Senator McCain once called a European power shortly before the 2000 election, is inadvertently named for African people, because the people who were native to North and South America in small numbers before black Americans immigrated in, who did not immigrate from Africa, were Africans. Africans were native first. They have been native first to every continent in this world. Africans. So probably you've heard in history how they tell you that everybody came out from Africa. This is literally true. But black Americans did not come from Africa. Their origin story starts somewhere else. And we have told you that they have 3 migrations before coming to North America. But the people who were in North America first were Africans. Then later on, Africans in greater numbers were shipped in the 1700s to help build North America. All right? So let's continue reading. It says, One of the most intriguing tales is how America, which Senator McCain once called a European power shortly before the 2000 election, is inadvertently named for African people. Not to mention the fact that Europa, for which Europe is named, was also an African woman. So this African woman for Europe is this great goddess, all right? The goddess which is worshipped across every ethnicity in this world in so many different names, all right? This is this woman, part of the Trinity of Father, Son, and Mother, which people worship. They worship the vagina of this woman and call it the womb of the divine. This woman goes by so many names. She's known in so many names which we don't have time to mention right now, but that will be mentioned on The Shape of Our World. So continue reading. It says, I say inadvertently because in fact America is named for two men. So it's trying to tell you that the belief system in which we have been made to believe is that America is named after Amerigo Vespucci, right? So that's what he's trying to say here. He said, I say inadvertently because in fact America is named for two men, neither of whom is African. As far as I can tell, one is the Italian Vespucci Amerigo, and the other is a wealthy Welshman named Richard Americ. America was simultaneously named after two men who did not know each other. The name gave it means land of Africans. Because the very word, as we have explained, we can reach into this article. Let's just reach into this article and show you that the very word Mori, more, means black. It's a Greek, Latin, and German word for black. It is the main focus of the word America, Amori. Mori right there in America, which is spelled as M-E-R-I, that you have in countries like Mauritania and Morocco, meaning black countries, black lands. So reading from this same article, you can go look this up if you're interested in the history and just find out the meaning of the word more. It means black. We all know that. So it says the word America is a Welsh name with a Latin suffix. The Welsh name Americ is derived from A.P. Moric, Welsh for son of Maurice. Another Welsh version of the name Moric is Meric. The Italicized version of A.P. Moric is Amerigo. In other words, Americ and Amerigo are the same name. All right? Continue reading. It says the names Meric and Meric are variants of Maurice, which is derived from the word Moor. Moor there is also spelled M-O-O-R, which is the common spelling which people know, but is the same word. Okay? It says commonly used by ancient Phoenicians, Greeks, Celts, and Romans to refer to black Africans. So the word America means land of the blacks because the people who were native to North and South America first, before black Americans immigrated in, were Africans. All right? So let's continue with reading from the book Asian Slaves in Colonial Mexico from Chinos to Indians, to show you that the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, who today are called native Indian in America, are native to India because they were shipped in here in the 1850s. The book is written to disguise the fact that slavery, or that the so-called popular culture which we have been made to believe that slavery started in the 1600s, which we have shown you that slavery never existed. The book is written in such a way to make you still think that this is the time period that slavery was in effect, when it's not. Because the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair whose origin is from India, came into North and South America in the 1850s. We already showed you that earlier. So let's continue on. So we're in the introduction page of the book Asian Slaves in Colonial Mexico from Chinos to Indians, which is the description right there is very, very tricky and subtle with lies. But regardless, as we have said, the book is still available on Amazon right now. So if you hurry up and go get it, you would have some valuable history, even though it's filled with write-up of lies. But you will now understand what we're saying when we tell you that the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, came in from India into Mexico, and then they were immigrated into all the countries in North and South America that they are not native. Anybody who tells you or uses that word Native Indian does not understand that the word means that you're native to India, and that Native American means that you are black, because America means land of the blacks. We showed you that. So let's continue reading here. It says, during the late 16th and 17th centuries, countless slaves from culturally diverse communities, because I always want you to remember the word slavery as we understand it does not mean that. Slavery just means indentured servant. That means you work for a payment that is going to be given to you later, which is not the way people ought to work, because when you go into a store, you buy something before you move it out. You pay first before you start taking it out, which is the normal way that work should be done. You pay the person first for the work the person's going to do, and not pay them after in promises by saying you will pay later. All right, that is how we are kept in check. Our promises, by promises, promissory notes made by the wicked albino, anybody with straight hair supremacists who run our world, the scum of the earth people who originate from India but have lied to the whole entire world that they are from anywhere else. So continue reading. It says, during the late 16th and 17th centuries, which is false. See how they write these stories up into lies. They said 16th and 17th centuries because they know that the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair who all originate from India, came in the 1800s. So they say 16th and 17th century. Why? Because 16th and 17th century doesn't make you understand where is, and 17th is closer to the 18th century, which is the actual truth which this book should write. But regardless, let's read. It says, countless slaves from culturally diverse communities in the Indian subcontinent. Did you see that? India, they come from India and Southeast Asia, journeyed to Mexico on the ships of the Manila Galleon. So what does that mean? They all came via by black Europeans. Let's continue reading. It says, on arrival in Mexico, slave owners and Spanish officials grouped them together, overlooked their social linguistic differences, and categorized them all as Chinos. In time, Chinos came to be treated under the law as Indians, the term for all native people of Spain's colonies. So that write-up right there, calling them Indians, means that they are from India, because people do not understand how to read history, because they have been taught that they know something. Because everybody, that is what's going on in today's world. Everybody believes that they know shit. They do not know anything. That is the design of the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, supremacy from India. They want you to believe that you know something, but you do not know anything, because everything that you know is bullshit. And how do they know this? They know that the only person who can tell you the truth and make you understand history and understand everything about this world is a high priest. It's always been done right from time, ancient times, because the Creator instituted this. His emissaries, the high priest, the Levitical priesthood, they know this. So, but as long as they can remove from the memory of humanity that there is such a thing as a Levitical priesthood, no matter the stuff they tell you, you still won't understand, because it's all a lie. If you do not hear the truth from the Creator through the mouth of a high priest, everything that you hear from everybody is only going to help to sell the deception, and the person is speaking lies. This is what people have not understood. But the people who are in the occult, the blacks, and the scum of the earth albino supremacists know this, so they can afford to run circles around you and you won't get it. Only them will pick up this book and understand what they are reading. But you will read through and not understand what it's saying, because what we just read to you is literally telling you that albinos, anybody with straight hair who call themselves native Indian, are from India. They are not native to America. So let's finish reading this so you see it in all what it's trying to say, since you now understand what we're saying. It says, in time, Chinos came to be treated under the law as Indians, the term for all native people of Spain's colonies, and became indigenous vassals of the Spanish crown. So it's trying to show you how people from India who are native Indians, from the country of India, the scum of the earth, the filthiest place, the dirtiest, stinkiest people, who have now made themselves to look like they are the cleanest and they don't smell and stink. Because you have to understand this. Every albino is unable to process sulfur from the food that they eat correctly. That's why the albino stinks, because he has an excess amount of sulfur. When you have an excess amount of sulfur in your body that you cannot process, the skin comes out to be pale. But this is history that we will tell you, and real medical science in the shape of a world. But for now, know that. So, here you're seeing how these people became known to be indigenous to North and South America, when the word in its actual meaning of India means that you are native to India, the country of India. Let's continue with Legends of Roll Call. We're still on Legends of Roll Call, and we have to pay some debts to some transgenders before we continue on with this history lesson, because this is the destruction and the deconstruction of all legends told to us by Satanists and by their children. In albinos, anybody with straight hair, the scum of the earth, the dirtiest, stinkiest, smelliest people cursed of the Creator, which you're going to find out later on as we get into Legends of Roll Call, and all the black people who support them, who make up 90% of world population, all bonded by wickedness and evil. So, but continuing on right now, we are looking at Yara Shahidi. Yara Shahidi is very, very popular as a teenage on so many, let's say, movies or child movies that people watch, and especially on the show called Blackish. But they never ever told you that Yara Shahidi is 100% male, as you're going to find out it's not the pretty little girl that you think he is. It's a boy. And here is an image of Yara Shahidi, even though it's in super Photoshop, but the skeletal structure will never change for a man. As you can see right here, right off the bat, you can see that sticking out collarbone, which is indicative that this is a man, because as we have shown you, the collarbones of males can be seen in 3D from all the sides. But with females, you'll never see this knob sticking out like this, because of all the breast tissue and muscles which hang out here, because this is not a female chest, it's a male chest that has been augmented through hormones and through surgery. It still shows the straight torso all the way down into the pelvis of Yara Shahidi, and this is the crotch of Yara Shahidi, and the Q angle, the widest portion of the hips, is right here. That's why Yara Shahidi has been trained to stand this way, crisscrossing their legs to hide the fact that this is a male. Because, as we have shown you, all the body angles and contouring is specially made to sell you a deception. And we always ask the question, why would these people go through so much detail just to lie to you? And you are not interested, because the people listening and do not go after the truth are children of Satan. Yara Shahidi is 100% male. Here's another image of Yara Shahidi. You can see right there that this is a man trying to make you believe that it's female. You can see how everything is angular, because even when a man tries to act like a woman, you can see that the way the mannerisms, the moving of hands and everything seems so stiff and angular, because that is the genetics of a man, skeleton of a man. But Yara Shahidi here is exhibiting all that. As you can see, the straight back of a male all the way down into the pelvis, no arch, because Yara Shahidi is 100% man and not a female. And here's another picture of Yara Shahidi. As usual, when great Photoshop is in effect, it's always going to be blurry and not clear because the scum of the earth, white supremacy, and all the black people who help support it, and all the black people who give their strength to albinos, the scum of the earth, the people cursed of the Creator, and warned to all creation that everybody should stay clear of them. And the commandments which was told to the remnant say, they will not ever be peaceful with you. Never seek their peace, for they will not seek yours. As it is proved today, black people have done nothing to albinos, anybody with straight hair, but they still treat them as scum. They still think that they are inferior to them. And they keep lying to you about everything else for you not to see that they are oppressing you by taking all the jobs and getting all the payments and getting all the benefits and getting all the accolades for stuff that they did not make. And people still love. And now humanity is set on a crash course of the greatest oppression that is going to happen to humanity in all time, that will lead to the revelation of Satan coming into this world again physically for all to see. And it has started in 2020 with the inception of the fabricated COVID-19, which is only made possible because of the predictability of the stupid, senile scum of the earth albinos who make fear to rampage throughout the world because they have no common sense, logic, or reasoning. Have always been fearful because they are fearful of their demise, which is going to the lake of fire. And all stupid black people have followed after and have said as they have said because they do not follow after the commandments of the Creator. But Yara Shahidi here, as we are saying, is 100% male. Straight back of a man right into the pelvis, no arch. Widest portion of the hips is above the crotch. Crotch right here, it's above because Yara Shahidi is 100% male. Let's continue with Legends of Roll Call. Next up on a transgender check is a person known as Nadeska. Nadeska is very, very popular on social media and radio stations and such as channels as Revolt or Apple Music. You will find him on there because it's actually him, a talk show host, very reputable in the so-called wicked, evil music industry. But they never did tell you that Nadeska is 100% male. As you can see right here, right off the bat, the square shoulders, and even though this is great Photoshop, you can see the knobs sticking out here, which is clear indication that it is male, even though it has been photoshopped with great background and great lighting. And you can see that the arms refuse to follow the contours of the body right here, and we can tell that this is the crotch, and the widest portion in the hips where the Q angle starts is right above there because Nadeska is 100% male and not a female in any way, shape, or form. And here is Nadeska again. As you can see, the arms refuse to follow the contours of the body because, as we have explained on Roll Call before, and not on the Legends of Roll Call, you can go back and watch that series because, people, you have to remember this. Every video that we make is a continuation of from where we stopped from. So in order for you to get to this particular part of the video called Legends of Roll Call, you must have watched maybe over 100 and something videos right from the video that's called the premiere up to this point. Otherwise, a lot of the things that we're saying you're not going to understand. And even then, on all those videos that we made, we are sorry to tell you that those videos do not mean anything at all. If you've watched any of our videos from the premiere or primer video, as we should call it, up to Roll Call, which was the most recent video we made about a year ago, you still won't have any reputable information because we're all speaking according to the language which the world understands. But in this particular video called Legends of Roll Call. We are trying to speak for the very first time very clearly so the public hears. Because when we started our channel, we tried as much as possible not to overburden you with so much truth. We wanted to be able to put the truth into a way that people could understand. So that's why we started writing books about it. And we wrote books, and then we made the DVDs from Concealed Mystery to the Remnant series, and now the final DVD in the series called Shape of a World, because after that we are basically going to be done on YouTube. All right, anything else that we are going to be revealing on YouTube, we don't think we should be on YouTube any much more longer after the Shape of a World. Will just be maybe ads and information to our own particular website. The website is not going to be for everybody. For you to get into the website, you must have the book, the DVDs, and especially the Shape of a World. That is going to be the entry into the website, because we are not going to be given the truth of our information to swine, to the wicked. Only the people who do the commandments of the Creator will stay abreast of whatsoever that we need to inform them, because the ends of the world is upon us. Okay, so if you watch any of our videos on our channel, you will not be getting the proper information, because we won't give it to you. It's not necessary that we give anything to anybody. We don't owe anybody anything, because we are not responsible for the wickedness that is in society for us to do something as restitution in form of good to anybody. So we do not owe anybody anything. So the wicked should go on doing their wickedness and go to the lake of fire. And those who are ignorant, who think they know something that they can by research get information, they should continue on to the lake of fire. And those who think that by spending money to get the truth, all right? Because imagine, this is Legends of Roll Call part number 13. Now, if anybody has paid attention to the number of hours that I, as a person, as the narrator, has sat down here and has been talking by the high priest who are giving me the information to speak about, if you have watched Roll Call, Legends of Roll Call up till now, you would have watched about 36 hours of talking alone. That is energy spent. Who talks for that number or length of hours? So that is great work, and we're not talking about what the team goes through to gather the information and put it in an order that's presentable, such that a baby from the womb can sit and understand that, and that these stupid idiots expect that this should be done for free. They haven't done anything for any of us, and they expect that under the so-called stupid idea of Christianity that you should do good, that by doing good that kind of endears you to the Creator, because they have no idea about the commandments. It never said you should do good. Go read it. It says you shall not do wickedness. It did not say do good. Christianity said that. So this is the first time that we are speaking clearly, because we tried to use the language that everybody understands, but they still didn't get the information. But since now the scum of the earth, albino supremacists, have decided that mankind is of no benefit to them except in the worship of Satan, and they are not only attacking humanity as in their mind, they are also killing them to bring into fruition the wicked reign of Satan. We now have to speak openly and clearly so everybody hears it and they get the message. So the videos on our channel will not do you any good. This is just a sample, because everything we're telling you here, everything that you've heard on YouTube, is less than 1% of everything else. And we can't share that kind of vital information with idiots. What are they going to do with it? All right, let's continue on, because we're just trying to show you right here, as we were trying to explain and we got digressed into speaking about something else, is that on Roll Call we showed you with the advanced ways of checking for gender, which we advise everybody else not to, because they're going to fail. And secondly, because they have the spell of Satan over their minds, they are not going to be able to see the truth. So you should never try the advanced gender check on anybody, because as we have showed you on Legends of Roll Call, the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair who do not go after the commandments of the Creator, because not every albino, anybody with straight hair is like that. I know very few of them who actually know the name of the Creator, because we're going to show you as we get into Legends of Roll Call. Every albino is cursed of the Creator. Cursed. So if a black person is wicked in the sense that he has not committed any of the abominations, which mean that you're going to the lake of fire. If a black person is wicked, all he needs to do is to pay restitution for his wickedness, and he is accepted of the Creator when he pays the restitution for his crimes. That means he goes back to the people that he stole from and returns or works it out in a form of any kind of labor to pay off what he stole, and he goes back to the people that he maybe said anything against them and bear false witness and corrects that error. He's accepted of the Creator. For an albino to be accepted of the Creator is going to go through 10 times what the black person needs to go through. Why? Because albinos have benefited from centuries of black oppression. That's number one. Number two, which should be originally number one, they were cursed of the Creator a long time ago. And then, because of that, the albino has to know the name of the Creator, because all of them going around saying Jesus, Lord, God, and everything, do not know the name of the Creator. So if a black person does not know the name of the Creator and he goes around calling all these names, but he has not committed any of the abominations, and he tries as much as possible to keep the commandments even in this fabricated format that the albino supremacists have written into scripture, the Creator accepts that black person as his own. But with an albino, because they are cursed, that means they are cursed. They were never to be accepted into the community of the Creator. Their work is going to be much more harder, because now, and on top of that, they have stolen the identity of black people and oppressed them still till this day. So for the albino to be accepted by the Creator, right, and totally prove that they are not of the lineage of Satan or descendants of Satan, that they are truly the remnant, but one of their parents or grandparents married an albino, anybody with straight hair, and procreated with them, and they are now born as an albino, but they have lineage and ancestry to the remnant. This albino has to know the name of the Creator. He has to know what the commandments is, because the commandments that you find in scripture is not really the commandments. Okay? And the albino has to pay restitution, not only to everybody else that he or she has done wrong by stealing from them or bearing false witness, but has to pay a special restitution to blacks for the rest of their lives, to prove to the Creator that, oh Creator, I am not part of this wicked albino, anybody with straight hair, scum of the earth, dirtiest smelling people which you had cursed. They have to do that. So the albino is going to do 10 times more to get forgiveness and truly prove that they are not albino. Otherwise, they are all going to the lake of fire. We'll explain that later. But back to this, what we were saying is that if you try to use the advanced gender checks, okay, on albinos, anybody with straight hair, scum of the earth people, those who do not follow after the commandments of the Creator, know His name, that you're going to fail because the structure and the body, the skeletal structure of the albino, anybody with straight hair, is totally off. So the only way you can identify that gender is checking for the hips. Go for the hips at all times. But with black people, since the skeletal structure is as it was made in the day of creation, even though it's now mortal, you will always be definite in your conclusions of whether someone is male or whether someone is female. So on roll call, we showed you that when a man stands, that the space in between his body to his arms is going to form an inverted triangle, as you can see here with Nadeska. With females, that is going to form an L because the arms are still going to follow the contours of the body and they will look like an L, the space in between. So with Nadeska here, as you can see, this is an inverted triangle. Let's blow this up so you guys can see. This is an inverted triangle, which shows that Nadeska is 100% man and not a woman in any way, shape or form. And here is Nadeska again, and as we've explained before, when men cross their arms, all right, they're always going to cross it right around their crotch area, as you can see with Nadeska right here, all right, because the length of the black man's arm is very long and will always cross comfortably at the crotch. With females, because first of all, the female has wider hips and she starts spreading from underneath her elbows. When she does the cross is going to be above her crotch, because besides the fact that a woman starts spreading from underneath her elbows, which takes up the space that her arm crosses, the female arm is also shorter in length than the male arm. Women have shorter limbs because most of the length of a female is in her torso. It's taken up by her pelvis and by her spine because of childbirth. So you see how everything the Creator makes is like feeding off one another. So for example, males have shorter torso. So the length of that torso goes into the arms and the legs. Females have a longer torso, so nothing is wasted. You take something out from somewhere, you have to put it somewhere. So that's why when you do evil, you just can't go say, I am sorry, and you get forgiven. What goes in must be what comes out. Balance, right? You have to balance everything out. Otherwise, if one gets heavier than the other, you're going to the lake of fire. So the Creator is so specific in everything. Nothing is wasted. So the albino supremacists, anybody with straight hair who have been oppressing humanity and oppressing, taking from black people, all right? And then all of a sudden you expect that you're going to say, go to the Creator and say, I am sorry for all the evil that I have done, and that you get forgiven. This is the most stupidest thinking that anybody ever dreamt into humanity. Instead of retracting their steps, all right, and paying restitution to equal out the level playing field, they think that by continuing to do evil, and then when they say they are sorry, then everything is okay. It doesn't work that way. Because as you can see in the creation, it tells you that nothing is wasted. If you take something from something, right, you have to put it back again to make it balance. So going back to that, with males, as the Creator created man, the man has a shorter torso. So the length of that shorter torsos is in the arms and in the legs. Men have longer limbs because the torso is shorter. With females, and remember, everything that we're talking about gender is always concerning the black man and woman. We're not mentioning any albino in this particular example. So, but with females, when the Creator now made a woman, what happened? The longer limbs of the woman were shortened and put in the torso. So females have a longer torso. So the limbs are shorter because the length of those limbs goes into the torso for childbirth, to accommodate the space, elongate the space, so nothing is wasted. What goes in, what comes out. That is why the Creator made the commandments. An eye for an eye. If you take out someone's eye, they have to take yours out too. If you have been stealing from someone, you have to go and return what you stole. If you are bearing false witness, you have to go back and say, I am sorry for what I said. And this is the truth. Otherwise, you are going to the lake of fire. You cannot cheat your way into the kingdom of the Creator. It's not possible by saying, I am sorry, when you have not paid restitution for your crimes. All right, let's continue. We'll get into that later. But for now, we just wanted to show you that Nadeska's arms right here, all right, crisscross at the crotch. And it's very comfortable at that position because Nadeska is 100% male. And just to keep showing you that everything about hip-hop is based on homosexuality, here is 50 Cent with Nadeska, and he's never ever remotely mentioned that he's been frolicking around with a man. Everything about hip-hop was to promote all the abominations that the Creator made a commandment that none should do so. To make it a norm, to make sure that all the children of Satan hidden in their closets practicing abominations will come out in the open and be seen and be known. Because Nadeska right here, as you can see, is 100% male, and see how cozy 50 Cent is with a man. And we already showed you that he said he was homosexual. Already we showed you Yara Shahidi is a man, and this is Nadeska with Yara Shahidi and Issa Rae. We don't know what Issa Rae is. We're not going to get into it until when we find out if there's anything wrong with her, then we'll let you know, but we don't know right now. But regardless, what we're trying to show you is that these are two men, right? And Issa Rae right here never told you one day that she was on a stage with two men if she is really a she. This is what we're trying to make you understand, that for you to be successful in this world in the way that success is defined, as many people think about success, to be seen, heard, and known, and to be loved by everybody, and to have everything that you need in this world, and to be endeared by everybody, you have to engage in Satanism. And homosexuality is a rite of passage. So Issa Rae here is what? Is also a homosexual. Because you also have to remember that those who condone homosexuality are guilty of being an accessory and will be punished and judged the same way as the person who commits the actual act of homosexuality. And here is a picture of Nadeska with Joe Budden, another hip-hop artist. And this guy over here is a very popular presenter on so many of the music industry networks and platforms, and they never remotely mention to you that Nadeska is a man. Because for you to get up in the higher echelons of society, in what everybody favors, in what everybody craves for today, you have to engage in homosexuality, which is a rite of passage for everybody. So as you go on in your careers and you aspire to get higher and higher up, at one point in time, you're going to come to that point in which you have to engage in it, because they're going to invite you. The higher ups who are going to promote you are going to invite you to their houses and parties and all those kind of stuff. All right. And you're going to find some weird people in there, and then they're going to try to set you up with one to make sure if you get down with homosexuality. If you don't, and you leave that party without being set up or agreeing or engaging in those homosexual acts, then you're out of the door. And before you know it, you get fired. That is how it works. So we're back to showing you how Africans, because we've been speaking about this on Legends of Roll Call for so long, but we haven't actually shown you the proof. And from this point on, we're trying to show you the origins of how Africans brought and trained the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, who were only engaging in Satanism in India, which is their country of origin for all albinos, anybody with straight hair, scum of the earth in this world, including Orientals who have now become albino too anybody with straight hair. So they are all technically one and the same, because the Ottoman Empire overtook the Oriental peoples, the people with the slant eye look, who come from Japan, China, North and South Korea, and all the other Asian states who have that look. The scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair whose origin is from India, overtook them during the Ottoman Empire, which was the empire helped built by Africans, in which they now turned against and reversed the caste system to now remove those same people who taught them what they know today. And after that, this Ottoman overtook the Oriental states, so everybody who's technically an Oriental right now is also an Indian. An albino, anybody with straight hair, scum of the earth. So we're trying to show you right here, because we did make mention of the fact that if you study the book of Esther, we're not going to show you the particular chapter, but you can go read for yourself. For those who like doing research and think that they can know anything, go ahead on this one and read it, and you will find it boldly that there is India in the Testament. But the name was not always India, because the word India in itself does exist from the book of Genesis down to the book of Revelation. But they did not call it India. India is a recent name. But when you read the book of Esther, you find the word India there. We're going to reveal all that as we get into these parts. So, first of all, we want to show you that everybody who has been an African and black, in order to have the power of Satan, to have the power to control demons, because this is what the royalty of African people do. The royalty of African people rule Africans by using the power of Satan. Okay? The kings, the chiefs of Africa, this is what they do. In order for them to rule over their people and to have the power of Satan, to be able to control their people using Satanism, which is whiteness, all right? The power of demons. They had to get all this knowledge from where? From India. So every pagan religion that you find today in the world comes from the scum of the earth albinos in India. So the African pagan religions, so I want you to listen now, because we're giving you real history. The African pagan religions all come from India. The Egyptians of history, which you read about today, all right, got their knowledge of evil from India, because as we have explained, the word day India is a recent name in the language of Hindu. It was not always called India, and we'll show you that, because the scum of the earth albinos, anybody with straight hair, changed all this in scripture. So now we're going to the origin stories of mankind. So every African who sought power, who sought the knowledge, all right, of Satan, had to go to India and get that knowledge. Because when the world, okay, became divided into its nations, in the book of Genesis, chapter number 10, and chapter number 11, where you have the table of nations, all right? The so-called scum of the earth albinos migrated later from, and we now get into history, from the lineage of Ham. Did you hear that? From the lineage of Ham in the Bible do the albino scum of the earth come from. They migrated into India after their country was rampaged and destroyed. And we'll get into that history later, but for now, just know that So every African civilization which sought the power of Satan, the kings and the queens who sought the power of Satan to be rulers over their people, had to have the knowledge of Satan from albinos, anybody with straight hair in India. And this is how every form of Satanism which was practiced was a culture of the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, got invented into African culture and every culture in the world. And when the remnant came out from Egypt into the Middle East, these albinos, anybody with straight hair, scum of the earth, were the first people to try to curse them. In the story of who? Balaam and Balak. We are going to get into that later. And because of that, the Creator said that no remnant should have anything whatsoever to do with an albino, anybody with straight hair, that they will never be accepted into the kingdom of the Creator. And we'll show you that later. But for now, we want you to understand the origin story of where evil comes from. So we are reading now on a website. We're not going to leave you the link, because every time we leave a link, the website goes down and stuff gets changed, and we just want to capture it here so you see it on video. All right, this is why we advise that you should start knowing how to make your DVDs and VCD players and Blu-ray players, because it's going to be very, very essential in the future. Because this is the best way that you can store digital information. Anything on a hard drive will fail. We already told you that. So right now you're seeing as the foundation is being laid for what's going to happen in the future starts right here. So getting back to this story, all the pagan religions in this world all come from India, the knowledge of it. So every African civilization that sought the knowledge of Satan would always go to India to get that knowledge. That is why still today, everybody goes to India. Do you think that it is a coincidence that information technology today is housed in India? Oh no! The knowledge of Satan. But we'll get into that later. But for now, we just wanted to give you that introduction. That Africans, because Satanism makes you senile, so you have to understand that. So anybody who is in the practice of Satanism in any shape or form becomes senile. They can't think properly. They don't know how to think properly. So the reason why the Africans would always go get the knowledge of Satan, then give the scum of the earth, albinos, anybody with straight hair, some knowledge of how to civilize themselves to get this knowledge. So it's a transfer of knowledge to get other knowledge. Does that make sense?